Now, the media. I'm not going to call it the mainstream media. It isn't. We are the mainstream. We are where the common sense is. But the establishment media love to pretend that they always saw this coming when they, of course, were part of the problem right up until Election Day. Perfect example, Joe Scarborough, former Republican, but only in name only. He's now a hard left guy on MSNBC, bashing Trump up and Hitler every single day. Well, now he's the one turning around and saying, oh, I told you so. I'm sorry, the people who broke it don't get to tell us how to fix it.
I mean, it would be so glorious. But sometimes you forget, Scarborough in particular started off as a politician. And most politicians lie. He always did. And so it's very easy for him to say on Monday, the sky is blue, and then say on Tuesday, it's not blue. And I never said it was blue. And I've been on the side of the never bluers right from the beginning. I don't know what you're saying. Why would you accuse me of having said it was blue? It's amazing the hubris that takes to be able to look right in the camera and just lie like that. I don't have that in me. I really don't have that in me. So he has no credibility, but he has a leftist audience that doesn't care. They don't care if they're getting lied to. I guess there's a business for that. I'm sure there's some version of that on the right that I can't think of that does that. Maybe I don't know who that is, but this is not the world in which I traffic. I tell my audience when the news is not good for them, and I know what they want to hear. We're not really in the business of telling them what they want to hear, if we have any foothold in news at all. So I guess it's a winning model for him because, in the universe of NBC News and MSNBC News, he's one of the kings. They love that show. They think it has cultural influence because all these smart people, the elites, go on that show. That's great. I hope you really feel good about yourselves as you watch Trump govern. I hope it's like a wonderful warm blanket to you as you watch him be sworn in and Republicans take over the Senate and control the House and pass a bunch of laws that you're going to hate. But you're important. Don't let anyone tell you different.
Now, as Trump starts to pick the people that are going to sit in and around his cabinet, there are people who are former political foes, like Marco Rubio, in as Secretary of State, a guy who served his country and then has since gone on to be a television host in Pete Hegseth. He's going to be the Defence Secretary. But there's some talk about a purity test that basically only the most MAGA of MAGA people will be invited to play at the start of the administration. So how do you feel about the purity test? Oh, yeah, and how do you feel about Kristi Noem, the South Dakota governor? She's, of course, going to be the Secretary for Homeland Security, which, from an Australian perspective, are the people who pat you down at the airport. Oh, yeah, and she's the puppy killer, the one who shot a puppy in the face.
I'm against the woman who shot the puppy. I'm not a fan of the puppy shooter at all for a bunch of reasons. But having said that, I'm not sure because Marco Rubio he would not pass the Trump purity test. And yet he's reportedly gotten the highest post that Trump has given out yet, which is Secretary of State. So I'm not sure if that's really true. I think what they're looking for, and I heard this from Don Jr. on my show earlier this week, they're looking for loyalists. They want genuinely MAGA people who get it and believe it, but also competence. He said last time around, had a bunch of people who were loyal, but who were incompetent. And then we had people who were not loyal, who were competent. And neither one worked. So this time around, they're trying to find people who are genuinely rooting for Trump and understand MAGA and have adopted it, but also know what they're doing. And I feel like for the most part, they're nailing it. Like Elise Stefanik, who he named as UN ambassador, she'll be great. She was very Trumpy. She doesn't have a ton of foreign policy experience, but she's very smart. And she's pugilistic, which is great for the UN. So thumbs up on that one. This guy who's going to be doing the deportations, this Tom Hogan, he is like your dream. He's probably an Aussie. He's like what we wanted from your country to come over here and clean up our situation, deport the criminal illegals. And then I'm going to be honest, deport the non-criminal illegals, like the ones who don't belong here. He's not talking about like the ones who came and they overstayed their visa because they're married to an American citizen and it's just too much paperwork. We're talking about the flow, the 20 million, 10 to 20 that came into this country over the past 4 years. I'm sorry that you believed you had a right to be here. You don't. You don't. I think about my nephew. My nephew's American. He went over to Korea and he taught for a couple of years and he fell in love with a Korean girl. He came back and they had a baby. He came back to the United States and now he would like his wife to join him. He's got their son here who's half American and half Korean. And you would not believe the number of hoops that his wife has to jump through. It's insane what they're making. And she's a lawyer, and she's a professional, what they're making. But we're supposed to just say to all these people who sneaked across the border from Venezuela, you could stay. We're good. Never mind. We're not going to actually sick the deportation czar on you. Forget that. He is going to come for them after he prioritizes the criminals. And most Americans are fine with it. We deported 3 million people under Barack Obama. So I really don't want to hear it. I think that's going to be a glorious thing in the Trump agenda. And I think, so for the most part, he's nailing the personnel. And I think the Trump loyalist thing, that's important, but like total purity going back in time is going to be next to impossible to find.
An issue that I know you care about deeply, you spoke about it on the campaign trail, we talk about it many weeks here, which is, of course, the nonsense in and around gender, and particularly when it comes to our kids. What's something that you want to see as hard action in the right direction from this administration, almost from day one?
Well, under Trump, in the first administration, it was the Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, who did a lot of good on Title IX revisions, which she was undoing what Barack Obama had done. Which in summary, she was restoring women's rights, making sure that women were protected, but also making sure that young men had due process rights on college campuses. And then Joe Biden came in and completely rewrote Title IX to undo women's rights in a way that Barack Obama had not even done, and deprive young men of due process on college campuses. So we need Trump's, I don't know if it's going to be Secretary of Education. He says he's going to get rid of the Department of Education, which most Republicans would cheer. But it's complicated because some monies go to like special ed, thanks to that. Like there's certain things we like that we wouldn't want to get rid of. And those decisions will have to be made by somebody smart. So it's going to have to be somebody who is against boys and girls sports and spaces, someone who is against porn in K through 12 classroom libraries, which truly is what we are seeing more and more in the United States. And I'm not a prude. I'm just telling you, like, second grade boys should not have books about anal sex in their library. Sorry to be so graphic, but it's happening here. And somebody who understands the damage that those Title IX revisions made. And then apart from that, somebody who understands what we've done to American education, which has been totally made into DEI factories as opposed to factories where kids learn. They teach the test. There's so many problems. It should be handled on a local basis. Anyway, someone like a Betsy DeVos, or, I think the perfect person might be to look for some brilliant college professor who was non-woke, who got his ass handed to him by some woke faculty, who felt it personally and is with us on all the girls issues. Somebody like that who understands how dangerous and pernicious this role can be and this department can be.
Well, I've got an idea, which is that they should have a Secretary for Common Sense, and I am talking to the person that I would help navigate through the Senate confirmation process. What do you think?
I've never aspired to a job in government, at least not that I remember. There was something in my high school yearbook about it, as I was reminded by some publication. I really love the fact that I can work basically from home now. And Paul, as you know, every day I do it, I'm wearing my stretchy pants. Are they going to let me wear the stretchy pants in government? I don't think so. I don't think Secretary of Common Sense wears the stretchy pants, even though she should, because they are commonsensical. I'm going to stick with what I got now.
Good stuff. We'll see you again next week. Thank you, Megyn.
See you, Paul.